Hi guys, it's Amy here, and today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. So I finished this book last week and I was contemplating just doing my regular review at the end of the month in my wrap-up video, but I had so many thoughts that I just wanted to share them all with you in one video here today. I honestly have no idea where to even begin with this book. It was a really difficult read and I think it's going to be really difficult to review because I have really mixed thoughts on it. The book was the winner of the YA Book Prize this year and that's one of the reasons why I picked it up. I heard a lot of people talking about it and saying how fantastic it was. So if you haven't heard about this book and you don't know what it's about, it is essentially a dystopian novel set in a future where women are no longer born naturally. Baby girls have been aborted so many times that now the only thing that can naturally be born is a boy. This is where the story kind of starts and we meet the Eves. The Eves are what the girls in this society are known as because they are genetically made in laboratories and they are brought up for the first 16 years of their life in special schools where they have no contact with the outside world, they don't have any contact with men, they are just in these schools together as a group of girls. The girls' main goal in life and the reason why they are created is to become one of three things. They can either become a companion, which is essentially a wife to one of the men born at the same time as them. They can become a concubine, which is essentially a sex slave, prostitute for the men of the world that they live in. The third thing they can become is a chastity, which is the teachers of the new kind of generations of Eves. The chastities are these bald-headed kind of nun-like people who look after them in the schools and teach them and basically just don't have any contact with men or anything like that. Already this book is sounding pretty bleak and depressing, and one thing I would say now is that this book does not have a happy ending. In fact, there wasn't really any happiness in this book at all. I came out feeling very sad and angry and just a bit depressed about the world. Another thing I would say is this book could be extremely triggering to anyone with any kind of body dysmorphia, anorexia, bulimia, any kind of mental health issue focused on your physical appearance. This book would be extremely triggering and I honestly wouldn't recommend it to you. If you are suffering with anything like that, this book made me feel bad about myself and I have never suffered with anything of that kind. So I would really warn you, and if you have any interest in reading this book, I think you should definitely take into consideration that those are topics that are discussed. Just a warning for the rest of this video, I am going to be going a bit more in depth. I'm not going to spoil the book, but I am just going to be talking a bit more about anorexia, bulimia, all those different kind of things. If you feel you're going to be triggered by any of that, then please feel free to move away from the video. I don't want to cause anyone to have a bad time here. So let's continue. These girls each week for the first 16 years of their life, they are made to judge and criticize each other. Each week the girls take pictures of themselves and upload it to a type of online space where the outside world can vote on them and they all get voted on how well they look and things like that. From a very young age, the girls are encouraged to criticize each other. They have comparison classes where two girls are selected to stand at the front of the class in their underwear and the girls all just rip the shit out of them on the way they look, and it was absolutely horrific to read. So basically the girls are all aiming to become a companion for one of the men who were born in the same year as them. Near the end of the book, the men are actually introduced into the story and they come into the school and are allowed to select kind of the girl that they want and the girl that they find the most attractive and appealing and the one that they think will be the best for them. This drives the girls to an even more judgmental and bitchy and horrible place, even worse than they were before the men arrived. They just become absolutely feral with just hatred toward each other because they think that they're going to lose out and that they're going to become a concubine or a chastity. While I think this book is extremely intriguing and I really liked the concept of it, I found it extremely gripping. I read it within a couple of sittings. I don't know if I've really taken what the author intended people to take from the book. I wasn't entirely sure what the intention of the book was. They sound really silly, but the ideas in this book, you know, sexism and things like that, they obviously come through and they're obviously there and they just are amplifying what is already in our society at the moment. But there was also no happiness there. There was no like nice outlook on it. There was no solution to it. Like, I just felt like I wasn't gaining anything from the book. I was just kind of having an amplified version of what I already know to be in the world, and I don't think that was beneficial to me. I just found that it really upset me. Honestly, since I finished this book, and it was about a week ago, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. I've spoken to my friends about it, and a lot of them have said I don't think I would ever read a book like that because it just sounds so just harrowing and just destroying. It was just, I don't know how to describe it in any other way than it was absolutely, completely disturbing, some of the things that happen in this book. I said earlier that this book could be extremely triggering for people with body dysmorphia issues, and the author, I watched an interview with her, she actually suffered with anorexia and bulimia and things like that, so it kind of shocked me that she had written into the book specific weights, the perfect weight, actually put in the numbers that you had to be perfect, and she put in calories, like the specific numbers of calories. Like, if a girl, like 14-year-old girl having issues with her body or anything like that read this book, I honestly think it would cause quite a lot of trouble. I just don't think it would be a good book for her to read. Him, even a boy, you know, it could be a boy as well. I don't know. I think if I read this book when I was younger, it would have seriously upset me. Like, it's upset me a lot now and I'm nearly 23. Like, it's not all bad though. I did really enjoy the book. I thought the writing was phenomenal. I found the story and the whole way she span it was fantastic. The ending was extremely bleak and depressing, but I think that's the only way it could have really gone. None of the characters were particularly likeable, so I think that's probably one of the reasons why I struggle with this book, because I have to have kind of at least someone to like, and I didn't really like any of them. One thing I would have really loved to seen more of was the men, and kind of a bigger discussion on the men in this book, because obviously the instance of female sexism is there, because, you know, these girls are brought up into the society which is extremely sexist towards them, but also the men were being affected too. You did briefly see with one of these men who were brought in to select a girl, this trouble he was having with his father, and I really would have loved to see more of that, because, you know, sexism doesn't just affect women, it affects the men too, and he was obviously struggling with a lot in his life, but it kind of just glanced over it, and then the ending happened and it was all kind of, I wanted to see his motives more on what he was doing and the way he thought about things. I just thought it would have been really interesting if that kind of male sexism was brought in a bit more. I don't know what else to say on this one. I struggled with it. I found it extremely hard to get through. For about the final half of the book, I kind of just was wishing it to be over. I wanted to finish it though. I wanted to see where it all kind of came out, and it kind of just ended the way I expected it to be very bleak and depressing. If any of you have read this book, I would love to discuss this with you down below. If you have any kind of feelings, like what did you take from the book? Like, I feel like I've just had this anger at the world amplified, and I honestly don't know if that was a good thing or not. I don't know. Obviously it's got me talking about it and it's made me make this video, but I don't know if any kind of positive action is going to come from this, because there was no kind of positive solution maybe discussed. I'm not sure. This is a really difficult one. This is probably one of the most difficult book reviews I've done, because I had such mixed feelings on it. But overall, I gave the book a 4 out of 5 stars. I honestly would not recommend it to everyone. I think if you are a bit umming and ahhing about it, I would seriously maybe watch a few reviews, speak to people who've read it who you trust the opinion of, or friends and things like that. If you have any kind of worry about being triggered, I just don't think you should read it. So yeah, I think that's all for today, guys. Please share your thoughts with me down below. I'd be really interested in talking to you all about it. As always, I will leave links to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, everything down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I will see you soon. Bye! I just thought it was a brilliant read and completely original. I've never read anything like this before, so I'm hoping that Nicola Yoon writes something else very soon, because I'd be really interested in reading